Well, welcome back to Inspired Word. I'm Chauncey Navarro, where we're going through the book of the Revelation of Jesus. We're in chapter 5 now. And in the last one, in chapter 4, John was just caught up in the Spirit to the throne of God. And I wanted to emphasize that just like Philip was caught in the Spirit and taken to the Ethiopians, he was literally translated there. And you're going to see as we're going through this that he's seeing this stuff, that this stuff is all going on, that he's touching things, that he's doing things, that he's actually there. And I believe also back from chapter 1, I said that before, that when he said, I was in the Spirit on the day of the Lord, on the Lord's day, that he was literally transported in time to the day of the Lord. Now, he's seeing all these things. It's not just a vision. This is actually things where he's seeing things, he's touching things, later on he eats a scroll. I mean, there's stuff going on here. So, as we go into chapter 5, we're going to get started in here on chapter 5, where he says, And I saw in the right hand of him that sat on the throne a scroll, written inside and outside, and sealed with 7 seals. Now this is significant. I'm going to stop right here even just for a second. Identifying this scroll is important. A lot of times you hear people going through this book, they don't even tell you what the scroll is. If you don't know what the scroll is, you don't even know what's going on here. You have to know why John's weeping later on in this book, and you have to know what this scroll is about. We'll get back to that in just a sec. Then I saw a strong angel proclaiming with a loud voice, Who is worthy to open the scroll and to loose the seals? And no one in heaven or earth or under the earth was able to open the scroll or even look on it. So I wept much. Now in the Greek it's saying that he wept vehemently. In other words, that he wept convulsively. This isn't just a little trickle tear here. This is, he's just weeping because he knows what the scroll is. He knows what this is about. Because no one was found worthy to open and read the scroll and to look at it. But one of the elders said to me, Do not weep. Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Root of David, has prevailed to open the scroll and to loose the 7 seals. And I looked, and behold, in the midst of the throne, in the midst of the 4 living creatures, in the midst of the elders, stood a lamb as it was slain. It had 7 eyes and 7 horns. And so going, wow, what's this, right? Which are the 7 spirits of God that are sent out into the whole earth. Then he came and took the scroll out of the right hand of him who sat on the throne. Okay, so here's the picture we got going here. First of all, there's this scroll. This, if it's written on the outside, it's a legal document. Usually the way these were worked, they beat these scrolls flat so they were smooth. The backside was rough. You didn't write on the backside. But if it was rolled up and sealed and the backside was written on, it was a legal document like a deed. Okay, as we were saying, the Kinsman Redeemer scroll on here, this is the deed to what Adam lost in the Garden of Eden. And part of this, you got to kind of look at it and understand from the perspective, how did Satan become the prince of this world? How did he get his authority? When Adam disobeyed God and obeyed Satan, that's when Satan got the Adamic covenant. But God had a kinsman redeemer law that was set up where anything that was lost would stay in the family. How would it stay in the family? Well, if that person would be able to buy it back in the Sabbath year, if they couldn't afford to buy it back, their closest blood relative could buy it back. Now, I always wondered, people would say, well, Jesus had to be born from Mary. Well, I don't get that. What do you mean he has to be born from Mary so he wouldn't have sin? God made Adam from the dust of the earth. Why couldn't he make the Messiah from the dust of the earth? Right? Well, he wouldn't be a blood relative of Adam's to buy back what Adam lost. He had to be a blood relative to be the kinsman redeemer to redeem what Adam lost. And he would do it in the Sabbath year, in the year of Jubilee. Now this is also tied to the day of the Lord, where it says a day with the Lord is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is like a day. And as you follow that scripture down, it says, for the day of the Lord comes as a thief in the night. Well, this is the same reference here. We're getting to the Sabbath 1,000 years. The Sabbath 1,000 years is when Yeshua, who paid the price at the 4,000th year at the cross, is now able to open the scroll to buy back what Adam lost. And this takes place here at the Sabbath year coming in. Now, notwithstanding the whole heaven being outside of time and that factor and stuff. But so what's going on here, John is weeping bitterly because he knows this is the kinsman redeemer scroll. He knows this is to buy back everything that was lost. Well, what did Adam lose? This is the whole issue that we're bringing up in here. Well, Adam lost his immortality. He lost his dominion. He lost the paradise. He lost the Garden of Eden. He lost, these are all these things that I'm showing here on this chart in terms of what is being bought back. Well, the way this would work with the kinsman redeemer law is it would have to be agreed between God and Satan, the price to buy back what was lost. So as you see in the first seal that's going to be coming up, that Satan wants his man in power. He wants war. He wants famine. He wants pestilence. He wants the martyrs. He wants God's saints. Why would God even allow this? Obviously, the fifth seal shows you right there that that's not the wrath of God, because God's wrath, that he's on his own people? No, we're not appointed to wrath. So as we get into, and we'll be getting into that in chapter 6, but the key part on this is following in this with the kinsman redeemer scroll, which is all tied to the book of Ruth, where Boaz bought back the property that Naomi's husband lost, and in the process also bought back Ruth. And this is a picture here of Christ redeeming us, buying us back, buying back the immortality we lost, buying back the Garden of Eden, buying back our dominion. And that's why Yeshua, Jesus, sits on the throne as the second Adam, ruling and reigning after he's bought back what was lost. That's where the resurrection comes in, after he buys back our immortality. And so this is all connected and tied to it. And let's continue on in this chapter as we go through here, where it says, now when he had taken the scroll, and the 4 living creatures and the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, each having harps and golden bowls of incense, which are the prayers of the saints. And they sang a new song, saying, you are worthy to take the scroll and to open the seals, for you were slain, and you have redeemed us to God by your blood, and out of every tongue, and out of every tribe, and out of every nation and people, that you have made us kings and priests unto our God, and we shall reign on the earth. Now, as we're going to continue on this and stuff, this basically identifies here the 24 elders. These 4 cherubim and the 24 elders are all representing all the believers from every nation, language, tongue who've been made kings and priests unto God and his Father. Right? So just like the 24 courses from the tribe of Levi that represented all of the 12 tribes of Israel, in the same way, these 24 elders represent all of the believers who have been made kings and priests unto God. So it says we'll sit on, those that overcome will sit on thrones with him. Well, these 24 represent those sitting on the thrones. It says, then I looked, and I heard a voice of many angels around the throne, and the living creatures and the elders, and the number of them was 10,000 times 10,000 and thousands of thousands, saying with a loud voice, worthy is the Lamb who was slain to receive power and riches and wisdom and strength and honor and glory and blessing. And every creature which was in heaven and in earth and under the earth, and such as are in the sea and that are in them, heard saying, blessing and honor and glory and power be to him who sits on the throne and to the Lamb forever and ever. And then the 4 living creatures said, amen. And the 24 elders fell down and worshipped him who lives forever and ever. Now, if you look at this on there, the part that intrigues me on this is that every creature which is in heaven or on the earth and under the earth, such as are in the sea, and all of them that I heard this saying, blessing, honor, glory, and power be to him who sits on the throne. Now, I know that in the end, every knee will bow and every tongue confess that Jesus Christ is Lord, that Yeshua HaMashiach is Lord, is Adonai. Now, what intrigues me is that everyone on earth is hearing this. Well, obviously, I don't know if it's the whole heaven outside of time thing, and that it's relating to, in a forward sense, to everybody, every knee bending and calling Jesus Lord, or if this is actually some phenomenon where every creature on the earth is able to hear what's being said here. So this, to me, this is extremely intriguing. This is one of the most intriguing things I find in the entire book. And And as we go through here, and as we're going through here, I think the one thing I want you to keep in mind as we go into chapter 6 is the fact that each of these seals being opened is part of this deed to buy back what Adam lost, to restore dominion over the earth to Adam, in this case, his kinsman, Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Messiah, as sitting on the throne, ruling and reigning in the place of Satan, who did have authority over the kingdoms of this earth, but is now being dethroned because he was a usurper. He didn't truly own it. It was still Adam's. It was he got custody. He was a steward of it for the time. Now he's losing his authority, and this is why he gets cast out of heaven in chapter 12. And we'll get to that when we get there. So be back here for chapter 6 as the scrolls start opening and things start happening. I'll see you back here. My name is Chauncey Navarro, and this is Inspired Word.